Good morning, YouTube. Brian VANDUYN here, for those of you that don't know me. Today I kind of wanted to talk about this excavator that I just bought at the Ritchie Brothers auction. This is a John Deere 1998 330 CL, so it's a pretty big machine. And I just kind of wanted to go over some of the stuff and show you kind of the stuff, that I could see. And, kind of show you guys the new excavator. And this is what I ended up buying at the auction. So it's got some things that I'd like to address, but we're definitely going to be taking a look at her and seeing how she is. And then you guys can make your own judgments on the excavator. So this machine is massive, by the way. Like, this bucket is almost as tall as me. Right? It's only a foot shorter than me, just about. Let me switch this camera on so I can show you. So it's got these big digger teeth on it. So those are used for digging into hard pan. They're also used for digging out roots and stuff. They're really good for roots, pulling stumps out, but the primary purpose is hard pan. So good, solid bucket. It looks, very good shape. As you can tell, the bucket is so rusted, there's not even a clean piece of metal on it, so you can tell that this bucket has not been used in forever, right? Which means that they just slapped that bucket on there when they sold it. Okay. Let's see. It's got a orange link right there because the one they had on it before broke, probably, or they repainted it for some reason. Because it does look like it was yellow underneath that orange, which would be weird. But yeah, this thing absolutely dwarfs the dump truck. Like, the dump truck is so small compared to this excavator. I haven't started it up yet this morning, so we're going to see how it does for a cold start. But first things first, I want to check all the fluids. I already know the hydraulic fluid is very low. One of the first things I noticed when we offloaded it from the lowboy and had it sitting for a couple seconds, you can see the little oil leak it's got there, which is hydraulic fluid. So I'm gonna have to figure out where that's coming from. Okay, here is it's got two pumps. That's a fuel filter, fuel water separator, which I already drained a little bit and there was no water in there. As you can see, no fluid on the gauge. So it's pretty low on fluid. Of course, this is not, you have to have it, let's see. That's what it's supposed to look like when you check the fluid level though. So it's not in the correct position to check the fluid level, but I already know it's low because I already seen it. Okay. Let's just take a look at the undercarriage. So before I crawl up there, you can see the sprocket's in decent shape. The tracks are really good shape. You can see how round it is. A lot of times with worn excavators, these will have flat spots on them from tracking everywhere. This idler right here, a lot of times what will happen is this edge right here will become angled so much, the tracks will start slipping off. It's in pretty good shape. I can't tell you how good the idlers are because I got to kind of watch it move. You know, that'll tell you if any of the idles are seized or not. So a little bit of background information on this particular machine. I talked to the lowboy driver, and he said that he's hauled this particular machine for the past 7 years, and the whole time he's hauled it, it's always had a breaker attached to it. So he said, I was talking to my mechanic buddy, and he said one of the main things that happens if it has a breaker, it's really hard on the hydraulic pumps, you know. And judging by the appearance of this, it's had some work done to it. You can see that piece right there is all brand new, no paint on it, right? So they've definitely had this apart, right, in the past. You can see the bolts. Those are not factory bolts. They don't have paint on them, right? All right, let's hop up here. It's got a nice toolbox in here. There's a toolbox. It's got one LED light that does work. The other lights, you can see the wiring is cut and just dangling there. You can see the amount of play in the machine. There's not a whole lot of play in it, so it looks, when I haven't really operated this too much, to be honest with you guys, because currently it's in backhoe controls, and I do not do backhoe controls. So here is the toolbox. As you can see, they've had oil in here that has leaked everywhere and collected lots of dirt and grime. And we got a whole box of hammer grease. Hammer duty. Whole box. That's worth at least 50, 60 bucks, I would think. Okay. Clearly that step was broken off and they re-welded it. All right, let's climb up here. They do have a grease gun right there. Actually, 2 grease guns laying right there. Which honestly doesn't look like it's been hit with grease in a while. And here's how I can tell you. Okay, there's no residue on these, right? There's like nothing's hanging off of it. The grease isn't hanging off of it. You don't have buildup around here. Like it's completely almost dry, right? See that? There's almost no buildup of grease. So that tells me that they did not grease this machine very often. Or here's the other explanation, possibly, is, you know, they greased it like they should have, and then they pressure washed the daylights out of this thing to sell it at the auction, which I don't know if that's the case because look at all this dirt on it, but that could have been from transportation, right? It did come 300 miles away and through a snowstorm, so, I mean, but that looks kind of oily to me. So it does not look like, you know, they really pressure washed it, I would think. That's just my guess. Everything has like kind of an oily residue on it, which, you know, all excavators end up getting oil all over them because oil seeps. All right, this hood is heavy. All right, so just so you know, it is a cold start. Let's check the engine oil. I haven't checked this since I bought it. Definitely got some on there. Okay. It's on full. You guys, camera's not going to focus, but it's full of oil. Oil's fine. It's probably due for an oil change. It smells pretty thick. Of course, it is cold too. But... okay, got that down. Okay, just looking at some of the other things that you want to kind of look at. That all looks brand new. That is all brand new right there. Whatever that is, maybe the injection pump with injectors, all brand new. Maybe a new alternator. Kind of. It's not the stock one, obviously, because it's not yellow. Right? So... all right, let's check the fluid level on the coolant. Let's see. This is the overflow. There is fluid in the overflow. You can see it in there. One of the things that really scared me, as soon as I seen it on the low boy, yep, we got coolant in there. It's a little on the low side. But once it warms up, it's probably, you know, it's really cold right now, so probably good. Okay, one thing that really scared me is I looked at the machine and there was no fuel cap on it. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, this thing was just in a rainstorm and it had no fuel cap on it. Like, oh no. And then luckily, it had vibrated off and was sitting right there. So I got super lucky. Thought we lost the fuel cap, but we didn't. It was just sitting right down there. So that's my wrench, by the way. I was trying to find the control for the changing the hydraulic controls, which I couldn't find. I basically talked to a whole bunch of people and basically none of us could really figure it out, except for the closest thing we figured out was Blake and me figured out that probably going to have to swap some hydraulic lines, which I'm not really looking forward to that, but it is what it is. So you can see there's not a whole lot of room in between. They have shims in there, right? Cab's not all dented up or banged up. It does have a little bit of a dent on this body panel right here where they swung into something, or, you know, typical excavator damage. These latches are broke, which at least tells me they were opening this up often, I would think. Let's see, what else can I show you? We're going to be greasing this whole machine up. One of the other things you want to look for in excavators is the boom. Make sure there's no cracks on it and no repair welds. Like, if you start seeing repair welds on these booms, that's a bad sign. That's no bueno. Right? Okay, so you can see in there, it definitely had some sort of a hydraulic leak at one point, which they all do. They all leak fluid into that belly pan, or whatever you want to call it. Alright. Yeah, see, that Zerk has no grease on it. But this does have some buildup around it, but you can see with how crusty it is, like, okay, bottom window's missing. Does have a periodic maintenance record. scratched into 12/15/20. So it was serviced by Pape in the year 20, so 3 years ago. We know that much. Okay, here's the air filter. Hard to tell when the last filter was done. It looks like maybe last time they wrote on it, it's hard to read that, but maybe 15. I think that's called a black flow valve or something. That was for the breaker. Then we got the radiators and all the other stuff in here. Windshield washer fluid, which not sure if that works or not. I'm not sure what this is, but it looks like part of the AC system. And it's clearly not hooked up to something. It is a 24-volt system. Pretty crazy. It's got a nice little smash right there. This is probably the most damaged body panel. All right, let me close this up. Okay. This is kind of a pain to do one-handed. Okay. All right, I think the door's locked. Yep, all right. That was another thing I noticed. The door was... Okay. Let's leave that door open. Oh, it's cold. All right, let's see. Let's see how this guy starts up. I don't know if it has glow plugs. Battery and hydraulic fluid warnings. The fuel gauge is going up. I don't see a light indicating that the glow plugs are on. Of course, I don't see a glow plug indicator either. So, all right, let's give this a crank. Fired right up. No smoke. Let me hop out real quick. That thing fired right up. It didn't even hesitate. That fired up faster than my 50. And it has glow plugs. One thing that is I've noticed already that is kind of a little frustrating is closing this door. It's not as easy as putting the lever down and pulling it. It's because these panels are a little, you know, they're not 100% straight because that one got hit, which makes this one a little off. You gotta push the door in and then pull it. But let's go up to the engine bay so you can hear this thing. Sounds really good. Okay, here's the pumps. This thing is a beast to climb up on. That is a strong running motor. Doesn't look like there's any blow by. Might be better to check that when it's a little warmer. Oh!